Hello, this is Sharon Marie Chester. I'm a licensed clinical social worker of more than 3 decades. I have taught racial literacy at the postmaster's level to professional social workers. I am obviously white identified, and I would like to challenge anyone to find any untoward motivations for my sharing a literate clinical position on critical race theory. What I'm asking today is for my skin folk, white folks, to suspend your lifelong system of personal beliefs about race and try to understand a very complex topic about which white people have every reason to have little or no understanding. As white folks, we are not and cannot be victims of racism. We may be individual victims of racial prejudice, racial discrimination, or racial hatred. Of late, we can also get rightfully fired if our racism becomes apparent and we show no remorse. In any case, we cannot be victims of a system of racism that is deeply embedded in the social, political, and economic cultural complex that is the United States of America. Merriam-Webster's newly revised definition of racism is moved to the right side of history. It doesn't go both ways. Those who believe teaching historic racial truth is divisive or guilt-inducing are either racially illiterate or committed racists, period. They clearly do not know racial truth, or worse, they just don't want to know the truth because of their desperate grasp on white privilege, their white fragility, and their white denial precluded. Systemic racism is real. To minimize it, deny it, or tolerate it is racism. For Louisiana Representative Raymond Galafrello to be so dismissive of his black colleagues by presuming they must just not have understood his position minimizes and denies their racial competency and representational abilities. Racists, in fact, want to codify racism. This is the perfect example of how to institutionalize racism. Make it law. Make it law that you can't teach about racism. Ultimate institutional racism. Representative Garofalo alleges he received panicked, anonymous complaints from his terrified constituents, read white. Obviously, people who were witnessing other racists suffer consequences for their racism. This is how the term white fragility came about. Getting called out on damaging biases is extremely uncomfortable. We have all had to go through it. Those of us who are activists have had to push through it, recognize it, acknowledge it, and do something about it. You can't get past it until you go through it. Where are those proverbial bootstraps, white folks? You can do this. The subconscious, embedded racist narratives that we white folks have been conditioned from birth to believe continue to damage the well-being of our kin of color. If you want facts, here's a fact. Black males between 15 and 19 years of age are 21 times more likely to be shot on sight by law enforcement than their white counterparts. This was not the content of their character. This was not the content of their ashtrays. This is not the content of their police reports. This was the color of their skin. These are facts that belong in the classroom if ever we are to do something about this. This is institutional racism. Critical race theory is a developing body of science based on empirical evidence. These are the facts. You cannot deny it. This is the truth. It's racial truth. And as long as we have free speech, we will continue to teach it, and we will not stand down. This is Sharon Marie Chester, social worker, signing out. Power to the people.